Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I am Patricia and I am a UX UI designer focusing on XR and Web3 technologies. Welcome to the Metaverse, my friends. This video is all about the Metaverse, what it is and what it means for us as designers. Here on YouTube I make videos about design, the future and technology. So what is the Metaverse? What does it actually mean? So let's start from the beginning. In October 2021, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg presented his vision about the Metaverse. Maybe a few of you have seen it. Virtual reality has been the subject of very controversial discussions ever since it was created. And while the Metaverse is not a brand new invention, it is still not really defined what it means, right? So a very universal definition makes it very difficult to come up with something like that. And I will try to shed some light into what it means. Like I said, it's not that easy to really formulate a perfect definition of the Metaverse because it's only a vision so far. So there are many different ideas about how this will look like in the end. And you can read more about those specific ideas in all the docs I listed underneath this video. So the term Metaverse first appeared in Neil Stephenson's science fiction novel. It was 1992. And this was about the Metaverse as some kind of a virtual parallel world in which people live as avatars. And maybe you've seen Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One. People use VR glasses to escape from their dystopian world into a virtual reality. So basically the Metaverse is a simulated space in which users can communicate, they can interact. So elements of the virtual world should be displayed in the real world and components of the real world should be able to be taken into the virtual world. So both sides kind of. Though VR and augmented reality play a really crucial role, and for this to work, according to Matthew Ball, the author of the well-regarded essay that is now considered a basic reading about the Metaverse, I will link this below, all elements should be connected in a coherent world. So this is where the the biggest difference to the current internet lies. So today's internet is divided into many large separate areas. So each of which is controlled by a single provider. So means YouTube, for example, has an extensive range of videos, so many videos, but you cannot access Netflix series with the YouTube app, right? And anyone who buys the in-game currency in Fortnite, for example, cannot exchange it for items in FIFA games. Makes sense, right? But how is that way? So this is due to the fact that the individual platforms are provided by different providers. So these have little or actually no commercial interest in communicating with each other. And that should be different with the Metaverse. So the idea is that it's not controlled by anyone. And this should allow objects, currencies, and much more, should be much more easily transferred from one element to the other. And in connection with cryptocurrencies, it could even create its own economy within the Metaverse. And this would be where you can buy, you can sell, where people would work and where you get paid for your work. So in this context, NFTs could also become increasingly relevant. NFTs are digital possessions that cannot be copied, so non-fungible. And these are essentially unique pieces that only belong to the person who bought them. You can learn more about that in other videos I created and also on my Instagram channel. I'm sharing a lot of content about that topic. So in the recent years in particular, the Metaverse has been taken up again by many large technology companies. You probably already noticed that on social media and the internet. So these companies see it as a vision for the future and above all for the economy. So Metaverse vision for the future. However, the versions of the tech companies are still very different, especially in terms of how it works. But what's really interesting is that visions from the big companies about how the Metaverse works are very different, right? So the visions for the Metaverse differs in terms of the specific design, but essentially all providers want something very similar. So Tencent and Epic Games, so the companies behind Fortnite, for example, want to rebuild their games into one big Metaverse. So they kind of want to merge it. Interesting, right? As well as the actual games. So there should be in-game events such as concert. We already have seen that. David Guetta, for example, or Coldplay. So the central goal is also to set up a social network that is closely linked to the games and through which users can interact. So social media, right? Microsoft is initially focusing its short and medium-term effect primarily on the productivity area. So primarily the working world, right? Like new work, in which meetings are shifted to virtual space and people meet in digital conference rooms. I have already done that as avatars. And as early as this year, the company wants to bring out an integration for VR and AR glasses in Microsoft terms. Pretty interesting, already happened. So this will enable teams to, or like this will enable everyone to take a first step towards the very large metaverse thing. And Meta, formerly Facebook, probably has the most like unspecific but interesting vision. So the company wants to create an all-encompassing metaverse that integrates many different areas of your life. So currently the focus will be on like chats, so like kind of meet and greet, where you can get in touch with friends and colleagues, so some kind of like FaceTime, but in the metaverse. Like I said, it's still very vague what's going on in the what's going on in the metaverse and how this will look like, right? So, but it's interesting because many companies have like a multitude of ideas for how our lives in the metaverse will look like and how it may unfold. Here's an example of how it might look. So you see your colleagues in the metaverse in a virtual conference room as avatars, and even if you work at home during the day, you still meet there, right? So when you go shopping after work, your augmented reality glasses show you the way to the nearest supermarket. They show you your shopping list, as well as maybe promotional videos for the next big game, for your next big purchase. And after work, you watch a movie with friends in which your living room appears as which they appear in your living room as a hologram. And since we all have many friends all around the globe, it's super nice to meet up with them in your virtual live in your living room with virtual friends. Your digital assistant reminds you of the appointments the next day. So pretty interesting, right? So we need virtual glasses that allow you to really immerse yourself in it, but it should also be supported in your everyday life, right? So in the metaverse, you can interact with many devices. It will be clear in a few years exactly, but you can also use your phone for that. Another question. So why are big tech companies building the metaverse right now? So the technology companies state that they aim for non-material goals. So often this overlaps a bit all the things that I already mentioned, but what's interesting is that the metaverse is meant to make life easier. So like connect people and represent any kind of help. So on the other hand, there is definitely a financial incentive. And this is a really great incentive for many companies, right? So the metaverse promises many times more sales than the current internet. And this is still really interesting for many companies. Because even for the largest technology companies which sell in like billions, at the same time, the development of the metaverse is linked to the fear that a new player could come onto the market and leave them behind, just as they themselves started out as outsiders and replaced some of the really big companies of that time, right? Like thinking about like Netflix and Blockbuster. So in order to maintain their position in the technology market, companies are already investing huge amounts of money in the hope of being one of the big players, or have a say and earn money in the later metaverse that's coming pretty soon. So is there already a metaverse? As described, a metaverse company, they're building the metaverse right now. So there have been initial approaches in the past years, but they haven't been like super concrete, and they will become more concrete over time. And in addition to that, for example, we have Roblox, we have also like Second Life. So a metaverse is currently being explored in Fortnite, and besides the Battle Royale game, like Fortnite's world also includes concerts, for example, film premieres, etc. So already like the shows have been attracted millions of viewers, and this is already some part of the metaverse. The problem is that a real metaverse still lacks a lot. In addition to fast internet connections and computing power, also like artificial intelligence in particular needs to be improved. This is something like that will be improved over time. And a great deal for research is also in order when it comes to like animation of user avatars and like, you know, mouth improvement to appear natural, all the interactions as well. And virtual reality glasses and augmented reality glasses are probably many years away from being really like suitable for use in the metaverse. You know, they're still really bulky. And currently it is impossible to estimate when the first real metaverse will begin. So experts say it will be years before we can walk around in a real metaverse, but you never know. And the transition will be really smooth, so like one step after the other. Each feature will be gradually complement the other until one day the metaverse is realized. This is like super interesting, right? Because like the possibility of several metaverses appearing in parallel is there. So there are also some downsides that we probably need to talk about real quick. So currently it's just as hard to access the risk of a metaverse as a specific design. So we don't know. Experts say that it will bring a major change, maybe the biggest disruption ever. So things may continue as they are right now, but it can also include some kind of like a positive development, such as, you know, the possibility of being able to communicate with almost everyone at any time and from everywhere, and also give access to people or help to people who need this, right? Like any kind of disabilities. But there also might be some negative effects that we probably need to talk about. You know, like any kind of like filter bubbles, social networks, or constant availability will certainly become even stronger due to the increasing shift from the real to the digital world. We already have that problem right now. So an increased potential for addiction and the increase in like psychological problems through the use of computer games and social media is already a very big problem. And there I definitely see like UX problems and UX designers taking place or looking for solutions. And also the big tech companies could use AR, VR glasses to, you know, penetrate our privacy even further and access data. So the data protection legislation is currently not sufficient for such scenarios. And I would say like in order for the metaverse not to become a dystopia, decentralization within the metaverse must be ensured. So decentralization, super important term here. Because if a few companies take control of the metaverse, there could be an increasing, you know, commercialization of the virtual world designed only to keep users on their own platform or in the case, you know, like their own world, their own meta world. So I am honestly really curious. What are your thoughts about the metaverse? What do you think about the metaverse? Where do you see any downsides? Feel free to leave some comments below. I'm really looking forward to get your feedback and your thoughts and can't wait to start those discussions. I think especially for UX designers, it's a super important topic to really look into and understand what's going on, because we are the people who are going to define how this will look like, right? Like how the interactions will be. Many things are not defined yet, and I think would be good if we are making better decisions that are much supportive for the users in the long term and not in the short term, thinking about all the things that maybe went a little bit wrong with Web 2. Okay, thank you so much for joining, for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe that you don't miss any upcoming videos. And say hello on Instagram. That would be nice. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.